Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Around the House. I'm your host, Steve O'Brien, and as you know, we do home improvement projects around the house, and we've been doing quite a few up to now. Today's project, we're going to install a vinyl window in place of this existing window, and I'll explain to you the process as we go along. I want to thank all our loyal viewers that have been watching right along. We've got some great comments. Keep them coming. finishdimensions@yahoo.com, and for our new viewers, you can also send a comment, question in regards to today's project. If you have any questions or any of our past projects, if you want to find us, you can go on YouTube. We now are going to start listing some of the projects on YouTube. You can click on the link and it'll bring you right to the project. So I hope you can stay with us for the show today. It ought to be an interesting one, and we'll be back to show you how this window goes in. All right, before we get started, I want to kind of give you some of the basics of how this window is installed to begin with. Now, the original window is what they call a narrow line. I don't want to badmouth anybody. This was a good window. This lasted 30 years, so it really, it was a good window, but it's just kind of outlived its lifetime, and it's time for some new windows. This was an Anderson window, and like I say, it's about 30 years in place, so it's done very well up to now. But what's been happening over time is, like I explained earlier, this is a vinyl, maybe I didn't explain it earlier, but this is a vinyl clad wood product. So what they did was they made all the sash and all the stuff is wood, and they put a vinyl coating over it. And that's fine, it holds up really nice. But over time, like these window sills, the ends, you could actually see some of the wood on the end that's the vinyl's wrapped around, and the wood on the end just kind of absorbed some water over time, and the sills became a little bit they bowed, they cupped, and the wood on the inside is pretty much gone on this one. You can see it flex. So it's time to replace it. And what we're going to do is, I was told by quite a few people in the business that you can't put vinyl replacement windows into this type of window, because normally when you put a vinyl replacement window in, what you have is you have trim around the windows. You notice there's no trim around here. Normally a window would look like that with the trim, and when you put in your new vinyl window, the trim is what actually holds the replacement window in. We don't have that here, so we're gonna improvise and save a lot of money and show you how to do it. And this is what this window would look like. It's got a nailing flange, as you can see, with the nail holes, and that was nailed on the plywood, the sheathing on the house, and then the sidewall cedar shingles were brought right to the window. That's why they call it a narrow line. It's got nice clean lines. You notice the sills don't extend beyond, and normally what would happen was the window sill would extend beyond the trim. But that just always seems to be a problem with rot and everything else. So I didn't want that in this case. So we didn't have the sills extended. We kept them flush. And we're going to do that on this window. What we got to do, though, is we got to cut this sill out, and we're going to put a new solid vinyl sill in. And I'm going to show you how to do that also. But we got to do that. We'll take the window apart in the next shot. We'll show you how to take the sashes out. We're going to take the sill out, and we're going to get ready to install our new window. So stay with us. All right, welcome back. We showed you in that last shot the outside of the window. Now we're on the inside. We're going to start to get dirty now. I'm going to show you how to take the sash out of these windows. Now these, again, were the Anderson line windows, and the sash is a little tricky to get them out, but I'm going to show you how to do that. First thing you're going to need, you can do it with a screwdriver. I prefer screw gun, it's a little faster. So we're going to start, you open the window, the bottom sash, and you open it as high as you can get it. And there should be some screws on one side. I think they're on this side, and they are. You want to take those out. Okay, we got two out. All right, there's number 3. Now we have to drop the sash We'll drop the inside one. There's a screw hiding up there. Okay, we got that out. Now you'll see the seam right there where the sash. This is fixed. You can't take that out yet. We'll show you how we do that though. This is just for taking the windows out. Now we have to drop the upper sash. And there's another screw right there to make 5 screws. Now all the screws are out of the glide, and we're going to show you how to take the glide out, and then after that the windows will come right out, and I'll show you that. Okay, raise this window up. They're both up as far as you can get them. You want to pull this out. Just like that, bend it, and then you have to pull it down, and pull out as you pull down. Okay, there's one, it's out. Now, watch how easy these windows come out. Swing it out. There's a string here that gives us our tension. And there's these little pins in here. You pull the little pin out like that, let it go up slowly. We'll take that one out, slowly. And there's the window. There's the sash right there, that's the bottom sash. And we're going to take the upper sash out. Same way, pull it down, past this point, and then pull it out, pull the string with it. There you go. Now, see how easy that works? Let this cord go up easy. There you go. That was easy. Now, to get ready for our new window, we're going to take all the other sashes out. He should come right out. They might be glued in. We don't care. We're going to just rip them out. But we'll show you that. We've got to get some tools for this project. We'll show you that in our next shot. Okay, now we got the sashes out. We're going to complete the project of taking the sash guides out. And it might take a little bit of work with a flat bar, but they'll come out. And you just have to pick away at them. Okay, they're just snapped into a little groove. There we go. Okay, once you get it started. Now I don't know, you can see the exposed wood. And they covered it with this vinyl like I showed you. And the windows weren't sliding up and down as good as they used to when they were new. We've got a little bit of rod at the bottom here. I'm not going to worry about it because we're putting a vinyl window right in its place. Now the next thing, we want to take the top piece out, and that should pull right down. Okay, shame on me. There's 2 more screws up there that I didn't see. So we remove those screws. All right, now we can see how easy that came down. Now that's the top piece. And then we'll take this last one out. There you go. I'd say we're pretty much almost ready to do the sill now. And the sill was the big part of this. The sill is pretty well rotten. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it in the middle. It'll cut really easy because the wood, like I say, inside is rotten completely. So we're just pretty much cutting through the vinyl coating. You cut it in the middle. Okay, I think we're through pretty much. Just just make sure you're through. And that's the trick of getting the sill out. You just pick it up like that and it should pop right out. See, we're not through quite all the way. If you're not through, you're gonna really work hard. So just make sure you're through it. I think that did it. Let's try it again. Okay. There we go. And you just twist it, and you can see, like I explained, the inside of this vinyl is wood. And that's the way they made them years ago. And you see what happens to the wood over time? So much for those windows. Okay, we got the sill out. Now the next thing we have to do is the nails, as you can see here, they cut a channel in these side jambs when these windows are at the factory, and they install the sill and they end nail it through the end, right through the end, and they use a common nail. They're a son of a gun to get out. You really can't pull them through. If it was a finish nail, you could pull it right through with a pair of wire cutters or pliers. You could cut those off with a Sawzall. There's any number of ways you could get those nails out of there. But we really don't need that little piece of wood with the nails. So what I'm going to show you I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off at the same angle that the sill will be at. There you go. That was easy. Now you see how they came right out? There it is. And that was the little groove that the windowsill was nailed through. Now we have a clear slate here. We can put a new sill up under. It'll follow the same plane, and we'll shim that up with some wedges with some silicone. And most of that sill will be covered when we put our new window in. You'll only see about 2 inches on the outside. The rest of this sill will never see the light of day. So you don't have to be too fussy with that. That's good there. Also good there, that's good. Now I just gotta remove this here. Like that. Is that a sweet thing? It's giving me a little bit of trouble. Nothing I can't fix though. Okay, we've just completed probably the hardest part of this whole operation. We chose to replace the old windowsill. If you don't have to replace the windowsill, that's 90% of the work with these replacement windows. But once you put the replacement window in, and if you have a problem with your sill later on, you got to take the whole window out to fix it. So it's just as easy. If you have any question in regards to the integrity of the old sill, I recommend just buy the vinyl sill. Which is quite expensive, by the way, but you buy maybe a 10-foot length, whatever works for the increment you need to cut it. In this case, I think I bought a 14-foot length, and I'm just cutting these. I'll probably get about 6 windows out of that. So this is solid vinyl. I never have to worry about any rot or anything. And you'll only actually see, you see this line right here? you'll probably just see about that much of that sill. The rest of the sill, this sill will be covered completely with the replacement window. We're going to put some caulking in here. We don't really have to, but it'll just help to keep some water out, and it'll look a little cleaner and neater. So next step we're going to show you in the next shot, we're going to shim this sill up from the inside, and we're going to put some stainless steel screws down through it, and then we'll be almost ready to put in our window. That's about as tight as that's going to go. And give it one more check. One more check. Make sure it's pretty close to the drywall, and it is. It's nice and flush to the drywall. Now we're going to use a bugle head 3-inch stainless steel screw. Keep it up towards the front. You'll have a better chance of hitting the sill. Now see, that sill dropped down too much. I'm going to have to re-shim that. Sometimes when you put the screw in, it goes down. That tells you got to put more shims in there, and we can do that. We have plenty of shims. Let's cut them off there, reuse them. And just keep shimming it until it's tight. That should be good. All right, we'll try it one more time. Perfect. All right, our sill is now fastened, and we're on to our next step. We'll cut these shims off, and then we'll be on to our next step. Okay, we're just about complete with this project. We've got 1 or 2 small steps left, and we'll be putting the window in. Now, what I want to show everybody is with these replacement windows, it comes with what they call a sill expander. As you can see, that's a sill expander, and that goes on the bottom. It is what it says. It goes underneath the window, and it takes up any slack for the pitch of your sill. So I'll show you when we put this on, when we install the window, how this works. But this is called a sill expander, and what we have to do first, you got to remember to do this before you put the window in, or you have to take the whole window out to put it on. So remember the sill expander. Now, you measure between your tightest point where the window is going to go, and by looking at this, that will be between this point and this point over here, these 2 strips we added. So we're going to measure between those. We have to cut that sill expander a little less than 27 inches, and that'll be fine. So all I'm going to do is measure that 27, like that. And we're taking off about 3/4. And I usually try to make it as square a cut as possible because it's going to haunt you if you don't. So make it somewhat square. It doesn't have to be perfectly square. And I just use a pair of simple tin snips to cut that. Cuts very easy. You cut the angle piece first, then you turn it over, and you cut that straight piece. Or you can use a hacksaw. A hacksaw works good too. Makes a cleaner cut if you want to do that. I'm going to put the sill expander on, so what I have to do is I have to be very careful when you tip these windows because you got the screen and everything to deal with. You don't want to rip the screen. Now, I just take this and I put it just slightly on edge. Make sure you don't have anything in the way, or you can tip it right over. Maybe we'll tip it right over. You can see it better if I tip it over. Okay, so there's the outside channel that the sill expander will go on. You put the angled part facing out, like so, and kind of center it in the window, because that's how it's going to center when we place it outside. If you know what I mean by center it on the window. Keep an even distance from end to end. That locks right on nice. And we're just not too bad for even. We chop it up just a little bit more. And we got equal spacing between the ends. So that's what we want to do with that. This is the head expander. This will go on the window on the top. And this allows us to adjust the height. If the top is not, you don't want any gaps for the air to come through. So they put this on top, and you can adjust that so your window is nice and snug. Now, we insulate that, and don't go crazy with the insulation. You don't have to go crazy. Just put anything you can get in there. Just like that. You don't have to be too fussy with it. Just like that. And then you get a little excess, you just tear it off. Save it for another job. Now, there's two sides to this. If you can see that on camera, you got a shorter side and you got the longer side. The longer side will face into the room. That allows you to get a screw into that one. You'll see when we finish this off. But you keep the longer side facing into the room. And that would be just like so. Okay, we have our sill expander on. It just snaps on like that. Keep it flush. Now there's only one last thing we got to do. I keep saying that. This is the last thing we got to do. We want to put a good heavy bead of, I use a latex 30-year. This is actually probably a 35-year caulking. And I use that around wherever this is going to come against. The window's going to rest on these strips. There's 3 of them. And that's the critical point where the air can infiltrate infiltrate the room. So you want to put a good, generous bead of latex caulking. You can use silicone. I prefer latex. It's easy to clean up. So here we go. We're going to start with the top. Don't be bashful with this stuff. And you can always put it on after the fact from the outside. This just makes a good seal if you can do it like this. And if you're working on a second story, it's a little harder to do it from the outside. All right. We're going to put the window in, and then we're going to attach it with some screws, and that'll be it. All right, rest the bottom first. And the top, you might have to crunch down the headpiece, and that's a good fit so far. Pick it up past the sill if you can. Make sure it's making a good seal with the caulking. Oh, that's sealed up really good. Looks really good. Yep. That's a real good thing. That's a real good thing. Okay, now in our next shot, we're going to show you how we fasten this and shim it. Okay, we've installed the window, and now the next step we're going to be is to secure the window. The window came with 4 2-inch screws, wood screws. And they go into this pocket right on the side where the window sash slides. And what we want to do though, when we cut the sill out, the old sill, the windows, the existing window frame, which is holding our unit, the bottom is a little bit it's a little loose. So we're going to utilize our screw, which will go right through the frame of the window, the old window, into the framing of the house. So that'll stiffen everything right up nice. So here we go. We put where the screw goes, right there. And we're going to put one between the window, the new window, and the old window frame. Now, what I want to stress, before you tighten the screw in, push outward on the window to make sure it's seated tight against the outside piece of plastic you have there, so you have a good seal on the outside. So you have to push it out hard as you can. Go slow with that screw. You don't want to strip it. Oh, that's good. Oh yeah. I'm happy with that. Now, before we put the screw gun away, I got 2 more screws to show you. Maybe one, because I might have lost the other one. Well, I'll show you one for now, and I'll find the other one later. This is the sill expander I told you about with the insulation in it. We're pretty tight up there, but what you do is, if there's any gap, you want to lift it up. This side seems to have a little gap in it. What you do is you lift it up tight, keep the screws to the corners, don't lose it. All right, that just keeps that from sliding down. So, we'll put our covers back on. These just cover the balances. That's all these do. There's a little trick to putting these in. They're not hard to put in at all. And there's a shorter one that goes on the outside. You'll know when you do it which is right and which is wrong. And that one goes on that side. Shims off. And then the next step, put your trim on. There you go. We'll fabricate a wooden sill for here, a window sill, and then we'll just put our trim around. Whether it be painted or stained, I prefer painted because the windows are all white, but I think stained wouldn't look too bad either, but that's your preference. As you can see, we finished installing our vinyl replacement window, and it was a fairly simple project. The hardest part of the whole project was just installing the vinyl sill, but down the road it'll be well worth the little time and effort it took to do. So I hope you got something out of that. I hope you had some informative ideas that you could use. You could feel free, if you'd like, to email me at finisheddimensions@yahoo.com if you have any questions. I could certainly help you out. If you have any comments, you could also email me. Or you could visit my website, www.finisheddimensions.com. And I'd also like to thank the 8 area communities that watch our show. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the feedback. And as always, thanks again. This has been great doing these shows, and I really appreciate the feedback everybody gives me. So until next time, thanks again, and have a great day.